National Mentorship Month. And I have two guests. First of all, kudos to anyone who has committed themselves to mentoring children in Chicago. My first guest is Alicia Taylor. Hi, Alicia. How are you today?
Good morning, Perri. How are you?
I am doing great. Alicia, you know you're going to go to heaven for this, right? Tell me how you got into mentoring and why it's so important to you.
So I got into mentoring about 12 years now, and it's definitely rewarding for me. I got into it because I wanted to give back to one of the communities that I grew up in that's a part of this awesome program that Exelon has. And I wanted to share my life experiences and professional skills and knowledge with students, just like one of my mom's friends shared with her professional knowledge with me as I transitioned from high school into college.
So, what communities did you grow up in?
Well, I grew up in the Austin neighborhood.
In Austin, right there with my good friend Dorothy Tucker.
Yeah.
From senior. Yeah, so I mean, and so tell me, what was, Alicia? I mean, were you supposed to be on the pathways to success? Were you supposed to be a statistic? Tell me about your childhood a little bit before we get to Semetrius.
Well, I have to say, I was truly blessed to have grown up in a two-family, two-parent household, mother and father, born and raised in the Austin community. I did have a foundation there. My parents were very hardworking. They instilled in me two-family values. So I wouldn't say I'm a statistic, but definitely, I could have been, a product of the environment that I grew up in as far as the actual community. I'm a little older, but times have changed, and a lot of things that may go on now may not have gone on in times of when I grew up.
Right.
I definitely had the strong foundation.
So tell me about your mentor, Semetrius, and then we'll talk to Semetrius Holmes.
Okay, well, the mentorship program that Exelon has is called the School Program, and we've been in session since 2005, and we have graduated rate of about 54%.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we first started. And we ultimately had like 27,000 students to graduate from high school since then, between the year of 2016 and 17.
Wow.
We actually had a 92% student graduation rate.
Wait a minute, you went from 27% to 92%?
Well, actually 54%.
54% to 92%.
Correct.
That's incredible.
And some of these children, they came, again, like I said, the Austin neighborhood. We have children that come out of the Humboldt Park, West Town, Bridgeport, Fifth Row, North Lawndale, Grand Crossing, and it's about 75 mentors, search mentors, and like 75 mentees. So, we're definitely all up for the challenge and helping these students to gain all of that we have to offer.
I think that's incredible. So tell me a little bit about Semetrius.
Demetrius, you were right. He does have an infectious smile. He was a big personality as well. Now, what I can say is Demetrius is always one that's willing to share. When we have our group challenges, we do have a little competition going on in our sessions, but we also have the students to learn interviewing skills, resumes, and things of that nature. But Demetrius is always willing to share in the group session what he's learned from each section, and I just think it's a great opportunity for him.
Well, Demetrius, welcome to the pro. Is it Semetrius or Demetrius?
Semetrius.
Semetrius. So, Semetrius, let me tell you this. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How old are you?
I'm 17 years old.
You're 17, and what are your plans for your life? And you don't have to be specific if you don't know, but what do you see yourself doing within just the next year? And then I'll ask you something a little later about that too.
I would like to say in the next year I want to be in college attended Michigan State University.
You want to go to Michigan State, which is now of all the schools, why Michigan State?
It's just been a school I wanted to go to since I was like in the 8th grade.
Was it because of their athletics program, or is it just something about the history of the school that appealed to you? What was it?
Maybe their journalism program.
That's what I'm talking about. My man, give me a high five on that. It's journalism. So that's what you want to do? You want to be a journalist?
Yes, I want to either do something with journalism or either something with business.
I love, you can do both though.
Yeah.
You can do both. So this is what I'm going to suggest to you. Get the business degree so that that you can be the best business reporter or journalist that there is. Get your business degree. And because right now, my journalism degree, mass communications, and emphasis in journalism isn't worth the paper that it's written on. So I'm just giving you some good advice. So, will you be, what side of town did you grow up in?
I'm from North Lawndale area.
You're from North Lawndale, and will you be the first in your family to go to college when you go to Michigan State?
Yes.
You'll be the first.
Yes.
And do you have any younger siblings?
Yes, I have a lot of younger brothers and sisters, and I actually have some older brothers and sisters.
Oh, okay. So you got about 5 or 6 brothers and sisters?
You could say that.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. And so, why was this program so important to you? Do you think that this, having Alicia and of course this wonderful Exelon Stay in School program, how instrumental was this in helping you achieve your goals and being on track with what your goals are? Because you can easily get swayed to different sides. How important was having a mentor for you to stay on track?
It was really important, especially because the support, basically. Because, it's always starting off with a good support system.
Could you have seen do you think that had you not had this kind of experience, do you think it was a possibility that your goals could have gotten off the rails?
Yeah, it's a possibility.
How?
Because I wasn't really focused before I joined the Stay in School program.
Really?
Yeah.
And so it helped you, you always knew that you liked to write,
Yes.
right? But you didn't know how to channel it or what you would do with that passion. Is that what it was?
Correct.
And so how did you decide on journalism? I mean, who inspired you in that respect? I mean, who do you see that you said, you know what, that's what I want to do?
Actually, it started off with me just reading at first because I really just like reading in general. And then I started reading more poetry. And I started reading like poems by Langston Hughes and stuff like that.
Ah, so now you're getting intellectual on me. So Langston Hughes, so the fact that you were just introduced, and this is the point that I want to make to people that are listening. All of our children have potential to do great things. But if you do not give them the opportunity and the exposure to our great Black writers, if you don't give them exposure to traveling outside of their communities and seeing different things, then you're limiting their possibilities. And would that have happened to you? What were some of the things with the Exelon Stay in School program? Did it take you out of your comfort zone, out of your community sometimes?
Yes, it did.
Tell me about some of those experiences.
One experience in particularly would be probably the internship that I received from the Exelon program. And that was with United Way. And that was really uncomfortable because I'm not used to being in that type of business setting. And then when I got there,
was it a culture shock for you, or was it an intimidation? Because let me just be clear with you. There are a lot of our children and adults that suffer from what is called imposter syndrome. And what that means is, even though that you are in a space or a room, you look at yourself and you say, I'm not supposed to be here. Is that how you felt? I'm not supposed to be here?
yeah, you could say that.
Don't you ever feel like that again? There's not a room, not a space in this world that you're not supposed to be in, especially if you're already there. So what was your experience at United Way?
It started off as I was just an intern at first.
Mm-hmm.
Me and this other intern named Eric, we just started off and we was like, hey, this is something new, you know? And then we just got into the hang of it and we started going on different programs and stuff like that with them, because they've been focused mostly around safety and health income and stuff like that.
Right.
And they was like, here, we're gonna put you with community impact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it started off. And they decided to take us out of the location and everything. So
where was the original location?
We were just at downtown with them at the
In
building.
downtown, and then where did they send you?
They sent us to Bronzeville.
They sent you to Bronzeville. You had never been to Bronzeville, had you?
Never been to Bronzeville.
Hardly had ever been to the South Side.
Mm-mm.
Wait a minute. How many times had you been downtown?
Probably like 3 or 4.
About 3 or 4 times. I love this story. 773-591-1690. We're talking to Alicia Taylor, who for 12 years has been involved with this great program. It is the Exelon Stay in School program. And we're talking to one of the mentees. His name is Semetrius Holmes, and he's telling us about his journey. And I am so proud of him, maybe because he said he wants to be a journalist, which is near and dear to my heart. And what makes it even better? You're a black male. Do you know how few black males go into journalism? Do you know how many black males are sitting at the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, or Chicago Sun-Times? Very little. Because when I was coming up, we saw it all the time. We came right off the civil rights movement, right? They needed black people to go into the communities because the white reporters were scared to death. And then, ever since then, we've seen a dearth. So when we come back, we'll wrap up with my wonderful guest. Stay with us.